Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to ArtCenter. I'm Julian Ryder, chair of FullCircle. FullCircle is a network of alumni, faculty, friends, and parents who've come together to build creative connections and support the next generation of creative leaders. We do that through events like this, and by contributing our time, talent, and resources to fund student scholarships. We're the organization that is proud to sponsor today's special screening of Here's to the Crazy Ones. So we're going to have a microphone on the right here and a microphone on the left over there. And if you have a question, please come down to the microphone and ask from there.
Thank you for that. Beautiful film. So Steve used the expression, make a dent in the universe, right? At least I feel like that expression has been attributed to him for a while. And I feel that you made a dent in the creative universe, right? I don't know if you would say the same or express it the same way. But certainly for those of us Apple obsessives who pay attention to the way that Apple expresses itself creatively, I wonder, do you pay attention to that the way that Apple expresses itself creatively now, post your era, and do you see your lineage? Do you see your DNA in how they express themselves creatively now? And if so, is there a piece that is possibly rises to the top for you?
Yeah, I think, Steve was one of a kind, a unique human being. He was running that company when he came back, and he met with us every week about advertising. He wanted to talk about ideas, he wanted to talk about the creativity, he wanted to talk about the messages that we put out there for the brand. And we work with a lot of clients over the years, and I've never seen anyone steer a company the way Steve steered Apple. So when they lost Steve, they lost something rare, something very special. So I think they still embrace all the things that Steve wanted to do, but whether the culture and the media world that we live in allows them to be as brave, I'm not sure. The other reality, I always consider ourselves being so incredibly lucky and fortunate to work with Steve through that whole era of him from the beginning in 1980 to when we lost him. He was introducing products that nobody had ever seen before, so it was a little bit more amazing to be able to tell the world about something that they'd never seen before. And Apple now is basically evolving those products, but they haven't delivered an iPhone. So we had a very special opportunity there.
Hey, so first of all, I wish I had words to describe just how pleasant that film was to watch. It was really something special. So my name's Daniel. I'm in the automotive design program here as a student. And I think we can all agree that one of the greatest things about truly great advertising is honesty at a certain level. But when I look at the automotive world and how car companies present themselves to customers in the world, it's very patronizing. It seems about anything but honesty. You've worked with automotive companies in the past, and you've worked with other brands that, like Apple, that seem to project honesty very well. Do you have any thoughts on that in general?
We worked with Porsche for a number of years. That was really exciting and really fun, and then traded it in for a Nissan. I'm not sure that was a good... but we had a lot of fun with Nissan as well, back in those days. And when we worked with Nissan, they were a very brave little company. They were competing with Honda, competing with Toyota. And so they let us try some crazy stuff, some fun stuff. We did one campaign where we traced the history of Mr. Katayama was the first Japanese manager of Nissan in the United States, except they called it Datsun because this guy was such a renegade that they were afraid to let him to bring the Nissan name over to the United States, so they gave him Datsun. But he was an interesting character, so we basically kind of recreated Mr. K and made him the spirit of the brand, and we told different stories about different cars through the voice of Mr. K. You saw the Pathfinder commercial where we actually did drive that Pathfinder from Chicago to Rio de Janeiro, and we were going to go with whatever happened. If it broke down, we were going to tell that story. And it performed, and they had quite an adventure. So I think everything has become a lot more generic now, but I think it's a lot more fun to find unique places for car brands to live in. It's a lot harder for a Nissan or a Toyota to tell a story than a Porsche or a BMW to tell a story, but still, that's our job, is to how can we make Nissan more interesting than Honda or Toyota? And so I think any brand that you go to work for, the job is find a way to tell their story so one, people pay attention, don't ignore it, and two, they kind of like the way you talk to them.
Would you say it's somewhat similar to maybe cigarettes in the 50s and 40s, where now you have all of these, you have 20 car companies, they sell extraordinarily similar products. Is that differentiation more loose from an advertising standpoint?
I think that's what set a few really special agencies apart during my era of doing advertising, was who were the agencies that could actually find a creative way to rise above all of the boring, all of the same, all of the everybody's doing the same thing, and be noticed because they found a more unique voice, a more unique idea or way of telling the story. So that's even more difficult today. I mean, I look at brands today, and so many of them are so homogenized that you can't tell one from the other. I laugh at the pharmaceutical industry for one thing. That's like, so there's lots of that on TV, but I don't know who decided that 30 people marching down the middle of a street dancing would sell me some kind of medicine that's going to make my arthritis go away. I mean, I just can't figure it out. Anyway, that's the job of creativity, is find the way to break out of all that sameness.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
My name is Carlo. Thank you both for making the film. Amazing film. I'm from Mexico originally. I came to ArtCenter. I started as a copywriter because of people like you, because I love advertising. I have a passion for it. And then I graduated here from directing, because my intention was to direct commercials as well. So having said that, I am truly concerned right now, and I want to know your thoughts on, based on the fragmentation of media, based on the amount of content that it's out there, and you just mentioned that it's very difficult for brands to like stand out because like you said, everything is generic, but also how to get the message to those people, fragmented in social media, in, wherever they are. And then the brands don't want to invest the money because in big ads or in bigger campaigns, because it's like, that's not the way we're gonna get them now. So I wonder, to you, what is the state of creativity right now? And is it harder than before? I just wanna get your thoughts into the future.
Yeah, I mean, I totally appreciate what you're thinking, your concern is. My feeling is that we're halfway through a quantum change in terms of media and messaging. It changed dramatically with internet, with online social media, all that stuff. And clients, I think, are very confused in terms of where and how to put a message out there into the world. They're kind of believing I don't know, the common thinking that, well, now traditional advertising is over, TV commercials are done, you got to just put stupid stuff out on the internet, and that's the way you make people give you likes, and likes means they're going to buy your product. I think it's kind of false logic. I don't think the clients know what they're asking for, and I don't think the agencies know exactly how to push back. So I think we're halfway through this quantum change, and I think at some point there has to be another creative revolution, if you will, a time when we take back the intuition and creative thinking that has made so many amazing things happen in the course of the history of the world, not just advertising, but creative thinking and ideas. The fear that AI is going to become who thinks for us, and we don't get to be the authors of anything anymore, I hope is a fearful tale that isn't going to come true. I hope that AI will become another tool that creative people can actually harness and use to do amazing things that are much better and braver and more amazing than the stuff that we've done so far. But I don't think we're there yet. I'll tell you a long short story. When the camera was invented in the early 1800s, I think, it wasn't an artist tool, it was technology. It was some science guys figured out that emulsion and light and lens, and it could actually record an image on a film, and then you could see it. And it scared the Indians because they said, "Oh shit, they're stealing our soul when they take our picture." But it was this mysterious technology that only a few people actually knew how to harness. They'd go and they'd put 6 people in front of a barn, and they'd hold still, and they'd freeze the image, and they'd made a photograph. Well, it was amazing. It was technology, but it wasn't art yet. And years later, because painters didn't throw away their brushes and their pencils and start grabbing cameras for 100 years. Finally, artists decided that if they took the camera and they used it at a certain time of day with certain light, if they could ask the technologist to give them a lens or a way to shoot the photograph slightly differently, pretty soon it became an incredible artist tool, and it evolved into film, and we made movies, and artists took over the film business as well. But that wasn't where it began. It began as technology. So I think we've got to get to that place where the films you want to make, maybe they live in a different place, but they become wanted and appreciated again, what artists can do with the technology, as opposed to what kids can do with their iPhone. and I totally hope and pray that someday there's going to be a place for big, beautiful films to live in the advertising and marketing world. So good luck to you.
Gracias. Thank you. Thank you, Lee.
So I want to say thank you. I'm a mathematician, Lee, and I hear you talking about quantum. So you got me excited when you said you're in a quantum break or a quantum leap. So I want to say thank you for having Hawking. Thank you for having Albert Einstein, because for us, for the visionary mathematicians, just because you can't see it doesn't mean it's not there. And so I want to say thank you for putting that out there, because there's a terrible interpretation that math people are like actuaries and taxes and all this terrible stuff. Thank you. And I wanted to ask you, Did you ever think about John Nash or A Beautiful Mind or any of these, like Alan Turing? Because you have his same vibe.
We had so many people on the list, and Steve had his favorite, not just artists and music people, but he had his favorite scientists. Buckminster Fuller happened to be one of his favorites. And we had people that we wanted to get that we couldn't get. I remember we had an amazing wall that we wanted to do in Paris of Jacques Cousteau in one of the first wetsuits. And his family was feuding, and they wouldn't give us agreement. So, yeah, we had lots of people that we didn't end up getting to use for one reason or another. But I think it was certainly fun to explore all the different levels of creativity that man has ventured into, and they aren't just all, artists and photographers. Yeah.
Yeah, and the second question, if you could make an ad for something quantum, what does your beautiful mind, what would you envision? Say it was a quantum iPod. Is it that bad? Okay, all right. Yeah.
We're only halfway there. I'll get back to you in a couple of years. I don't know exactly. I think AI is going to have some kind of huge. You look at the stuff on the internet now on your phone. You don't know what's real. You don't know whether somebody created it in a computer and whether it's a real person action thing. And so right now it's just this wild territory of people doing stuff with AI. But I think out of a final ability for creative people to grab hold of AI and do something with it, I think that's where the next kind of quantum way of messaging and telling a story will be. One of my hopes is Johnny Ives, who created the iPhone and all this work, did all these tech products for Steve when he came back in 1997. He just teamed up with OpenAI, a company that's supposedly one of the leaders in AI. But Johnny's going to bring, I think, his human sensibilities and his creativity to that partnership. And I don't know if it'll be as great as the partnership he had with Steve, but I think that they will work together to try and come up with a usable human tools that allow AI to become part of what hopefully we, or the next generation of creative people can use to do amazing stuff. That's my hope.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Sandra Cully, and I've been carrying this book around for 32 years, Inventing Desire, which was a story about a reporter from the LA Times who spent a year at Chiat Day. And one of my favorite ads that didn't make your film was Yo Quiero Taco Bell, because there is, a drive-through taco, and the ways in which you guys invented desire. So I have one question for you. How soon is the film coming out? Because this could start that revolution.
Hopefully soon. We have a few rights issues too. The Beatles, the Rolling Stones, Jay-Z, Eminem. But we're working on it. Coming soon.
Clarence, what?
Hi, my name is Clarence Major, and a graduate, and great film. Love it. Fantastic. I saw John Gorman and Johns and Gorman. They were creative directors at Chiat, or
Johns and Gorman, yeah.
Yeah, they were in the film. I was just wondering about that. That's kind of interesting because I worked with them back in the day when they were directors.
Yeah, those were two very fun, very creative guys. They worked mostly on Nike. When we got Nike, we had the really amazing opportunity to work for them for a minute and a half. We, as you saw, the two of them talking about doing the Olympics campaign.
Yeah.
We also got to launch Air Jordan. In fact, the first Air Jordan ads were done by us, even though Wyden and Kennedy who deserved to own the brand, inherited the brand back for a crazy reason in our business, but they Wyden and Kennedy are one of the other icons in terms of this business, in terms of taking brands and making them beautiful and famous. So,
right.
but Johns and Gorman got to work for a moment in time on Nike, and they were very fun to work with.
That's great. Yeah.
Yeah.
I saw those illustrations. Those are the first time, the ones that you were drawing that are in the book, One Last Lunch. Those little illustrations,
Yeah.
you're right. They should have been bigger.
Yeah, well, that was for a book a lady was writing about asking different people who had worked with famous people to write about what would it be like to have one last lunch with that person. Usually the people were gone, and Steve was gone. And instead of writing a story, I basically drew some pictures of Steve and I sitting down to lunch, taking out our phones, having lunch, putting the phones down, saying, "Thanks for lunch, Steve. Thanks for lunch, Steve."
It's great.
Which is the world that Steve created for us. I'm sorry.
Well, thank you for this film. Thank you for you. And what is your best day and your worst day? Do you think
Best day,
best
worst
day or worst day in your career or doing some project? Sorry.
Well, losing Apple was a pretty bad day. It all happened as the film described, because a Pepsi salesman became the president of Apple and didn't trust Steve's intuition, and immediately decided he would hire the agency that did his Pepsi ads. So that was a pretty crappy day. And I gotta say, the best day was the day Steve called and said, "Hey, you want to come up here? We got to save Apple." What an amazing trust, And then you start shaking, saying, "Oh shit, I got to help him save Apple." But anyway, that was the best and the worst. Yeah. Thanks, Clarence.
Hi, my name is Erna Blooms, and I really thank you for this movie. First question is, will this movie be available for anybody to see? Because I will love this new generation to see what your generation created. It kick ass, okay? Like kick my ass on my seat right now. So it's like, I hope that can be available somewhere, somehow, or another screening that is ongoing, because I would love to take this to my community to realize you are playing too small. It's really what this is.
We have a bunch of wonderful music in there that costs a whole lot of money, so the producers are still trying to figure out how we can afford some of the music, and
I see.
Ultimately we'll like it to live on Apple TV, of course.
Yeah.
But right now, I'm actually having a wonderful time sharing it with people who love and aspire to do. Alana and I were just in New York 3 days ago sharing the film at the Museum of Modern Art with a bunch of directors and other creative people. So we're sharing it that way till we can figure out how to get it out there into the world publicly. But
Awesome.
Thanks for asking.
Yeah. There is one dying question that I have in behalf of the committee of FullCircle, actually. You have nailed so many advertising and brands. I think you speak brand as like you said, media, art, and soul. And I'm an artist myself, artist and designer. And you mentioned that you actually wasn't graduated from ArtCenter, and you would love to. And so my question to you, if you have one cool idea for ArtCenter brand, what it would be?
You know what? Let me think about this for a second.
I'll be recording.
I wasn't able to go to ArtCenter. I couldn't afford it. But I did get to teach here a few semesters. And it's so important what you're doing here, not just the advertising art, but all the different disciplines that you structure the school around. But I think the core of inviting people here or inviting people to support the school is the school is about the celebration of creativity. It's about the nurturing of creativity. So I think something very along the lines of Think Different is the kind of celebration of what you aspire to be at ArtCenter, what you aspire to do at ArtCenter in terms of teaching young people to want to use their imagination and their intuition and not just fall into a logical place. That story I told in the film about the young man who told his father to watch the Think Different commercial. Mm-hmm. He went on to, hopefully because of the film telling him it was okay to think different, he went on to Cal Arts and became a animation director and followed his creativity after he was given permission by a stupid television commercial. So anyway, I think that celebration of creativity is the essence of what an ArtCenter message should be.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Lee, the good news is I've been told this is the last question. The bad news is it's an Englishman asking you this question. Some of my students who went to the AICP award were shortlisted at MoMA, and I said, oh, Lee's going to be there. What do you think? And it was fucking awesome, was the thing. You inspire inspiration in people. Film, I'm in the film department as faculty, and commercials. I show you your work constantly. And you're great inspiration to so many students across so many disciplines. And thank you from the bottom of my heart for being here. So thank you.
Oh, thank you. Well, thank you all for being so interested. Alon wouldn't be a film without Alon capturing all these lunches that we had. The only sad thing is how many lunches and how many stories we weren't able to share. So maybe we'll do a sequel.